Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome to Tech in the Workplace, Day 4. My name is Julie. I'll be your facilitator today. Thank you for joining me. We're going to have a lot of fun today. Wrapping up Microsoft Excel, which we've been looking at for the last couple of Sundays, and then we're going to move into Microsoft PowerPoint. So if you do want to follow along with me, let me know. I can put the files in the chat so that you can open them up and work along with me. This is being recorded, so you will be able to look at it again in the future. So if you have any questions, you can email me at jduspace@gmail.com. All right, let's go ahead and get started. We've got lots of really nice activities planned for today. I'm just going to go ahead and go into my Excel folder. And the first thing that we are going to look at is the if template. So in the if template, as soon as that opens, of course, it opened on another window. Let me pull it over here for you so that you can see this. We have 4 different worksheets in this workbook. I'm going to go ahead and start with the if and then we're going to go to the if or, the second example of the if or, and the if not. So the if is a built-in function in Microsoft Excel. You can also utilize additional functions within that particular if statement. While we're looking at, before we get started, we're just going to take a look at the data that we have here. So we have fields of employee, years of service, status, their bonus, which is what we're going to use the if statement to calculate, and their job rating. The employees, there are 800 employees. So if you hold down the shift key and hit the down arrow, it's going to take you down to line 801, where employee 800 resides. So I'm just going to do the control and the up arrow again to go back up. On each one of these slides, I have over here on the right-hand side what it is what we are looking for. So what is our goal? So we're going to use the if statement to determine if the employees receive a bonus or not. And that bonus for our first activity is going to depend on their job rating. So they have to have a job rating of 4 or 5. So on a scale of 1 to 5, they need to have a rating of a 4 or 5. And their status needs to be a full-time employee. So I'm just going to click inside of D2, and we're going to go ahead, we're going to put in the equal sign, and I'm just going to look for the if statement. When you see the if statement, you can either double click on it, or I can hit the tab key and it will insert the if function for me. Then, once I have that, the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to say if, and then as the worksheet name suggests, we're going to incorporate the and in there as well. So we're looking at, do the employees have a job rating of a 4 or a 5, and are they a full-time employee? So let's find out who gets the bonus. So we've got 2 conditions here that we're looking for. So we're going to say if and then I'm just going to come over, and the first thing we're going to have the function look at is E2. So in E2, is E2 greater than a 3? If E2 is greater than a 3, then we're going to go ahead and we're going to move on to our logical 2. So we just completed our logic 1. If you look down below the formula function, it's got a little cheat sheet. It tells you what step you'll be performing next. So equal 2 is greater than 3. E2 is greater than 3. That is our job rating. If that is true, then it's going to move on to logical 2. And in logical 2, we're seeing if C2 is equal to, and I'm going to put this in parentheses because it is in print. So I'm just going to say full-time in parentheses. And that does need to match. It does not, it's not case sensitive, but it does need to match. So in other words, you need to put in the dash. And it needs to be spelled exactly like it is in C2, since that's what we are looking at. So once we have that done, we're going to go ahead and close our parentheses. It's very, very important that you are watching to see the open parentheses, the closed parentheses, they all need to match. Otherwise, Excel is not going to be happy with you and it's going to give you an error statement. Every once in a while, it will say, hey, we'll fix the error for you if you want us to. I always tell Excel they can fix my error if I type something in wrong. But make sure that you're looking at those open parentheses and the closed parentheses and that they match. So they do color code them. You can see my first open parenthesis is in black. My second open parenthesis is in red, as well as the one that accompanies the closing parenthesis. It is also in red. So now that I have established that, I'm going to go ahead and put in a comma, and you'll note that in my cheat sheet down below, it now says value if true. So what are we going to give the employees if these two logic tests, if they pass these two logic tests? I'm going to give them maybe $5,000. And then I'm going to put in a comma, and it says, okay, what is the value if true? Now we can put in a 0 and it will put in 0. We can put in open quote, close quote, and it will print just a blank cell. We can put a word in there. You did not qualify. You can come up with all kinds of different things. They'll show you some of the different options and what they look like. Then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to close my parenthesis and I'm going to hit the enter key. Now, it looks like nothing happened, but if you look at employee 1, they are full-time, but they got a job rating of a 1. So let's go in and look at that. Let's just change that job rating to a 4. When I hit the enter key, if our formula is, if our functions, our nested functions are working correctly, it's going to say 5,000. Yay, we did it right. Awesome. So you'll also note that these cells are not formatted to currency. So let's go ahead and take care of that. So I'm going to click in cell D2 and I'm going to do a control shift and a down arrow. Okay, let's go. It went all the way to the bottom. Let's go back up. Done. Price is not going just down to the 800. That's all right. It won't take us long to highlight these. So I'm just going to highlight all 801 lines. We're getting close. We're getting close. We're getting close. There we go. And I'm just going to come up and I'm going to tell it that I want to apply the currency format. We don't need any decimals in there because it's just a flat $5,000. And we'll go down to our second option, our D2. So let's just do that again real quickly. So we're going to say equal if, and. So what are we looking for? Our first logic test is E3 greater than 3? Oops. Yeah, greater than 3. So is E3 greater than 3? Comma, and our second logic test is C3 equal to, and we're going to put this in quotes, remember, are these a full-time employee? And then we're going to close our quotes. We're going to put in a comma. We're going to tell it that we want the $5,000. And if not, we can say you did not qualify. Close my parentheses and enter. Okay, and this employee did not qualify. So that just says you did not qualify. A couple of different ways that you can do that. You can also, if you want to, just giving you some different examples, I could put a 0 in there and it'll print the 0. So it kind of depends on what you're looking for, what you want to do. what your expectations are. Now, there's one other way that we can do this. So I'm going to come over and I'm going to change the job rating to the number 3. Okay. Now we're not accepting the number 3. It needs to be greater than 3, but that's all right. We're going to do this in a little bit of a different way. So I'm going to say equal if, and I'm going to go ahead and hit the tab key, equal if, and so we are looking at is the job rating. So is E4 greater than, we're not going to type in the number, we're going to refer to a cell. So is it greater than G3? Comma, if that's true, we're going to move on to logic test number 2. And then we're going to look to see if C4 is equal to full time. And close my parentheses, comma, 5,000, comma, 0, close my parentheses, and enter. Okay, so this person did not qualify. And you might be thinking to yourself, well, why aren't you just filling that down? Can't we just fill this down? The answer is absolutely, we can just fill that down. I wanted to show you a different couple of ways that you can go about this using the if statement. So here are all the people that are going to receive are the bonus, the $5,000 bonus. Now, it looks like we've got quite a few. So our if and is a success. So let's move over to if or. What are we doing in if or? So in the if or, we are looking to see is there, so they're going to get a bonus either if they have a job rating of a 4 or a 5, or their status is full-time. So we're giving them much more of a chance this time to get the $5,000 bonus. So in this one, we just have one condition, and we're looking at this. And my formula is going to be equal if. So I'm just going to say equal if, and then we're going to put in the or. So rather than the and, we're going to put in the or. So it's looking for either or. So we're seeing is E2 greater than 3, comma, our second logic test is C2 equal to, it's only one equal sign, equal to full time. Close my parentheses, or close my quotes, excuse me, close my parentheses as well. So put in a comma, our value if true. Since it's a little bit easier to get this particular bonus, let's drop that down to 2,500. And if they didn't meet either of those criteria, we're going to give them 0. Close my parentheses and hit the enter key. All right, so there is my bonus. This first person got the bonus. When we go down to part-time, okay, there's one that has a 0 in it. So just real quickly again, equal if, or, and our first logic statement that we're going to, logic test that we're going to look at is E5 greater than 3, comma, and our second logic test is C5 equal to full time. And then, whoops, yep, close our parentheses, comma, value of true, 2,500, comma, value false, 0, close my parentheses. And there we have it, folks, the if or. So we've got the if and the if or. It's going to fill that all the way down. If you're doing this, you probably want to make sure that you are applying the currency and reducing the decimal. Looks like I didn't have these highlighted, so let's go ahead and grab those as well. So we'll just apply currency, reduce the decimal, just making sure that no one has any questions. All right, I don't see any questions. So let's go ahead and move on to the if or 2. So the if or to, what are we doing in the if or to? We're seeing, do they have more than 9 years of service, or is their status full-time? So over job rating, that's an E2. We need to add that one. So we're looking at the job rating as well. So we'll put that in there. Let's just go ahead and make this consistent. So we'll take our, there we go. That looks nice. We just kind of cinch this up a little bit so it's a little bit easier to see. See if we can reduce the column width a little bit. Perfect. All right. So I'm going to go to cell D2. And in D2, we're going to say equal if or, so we're looking at is E2, which is our job rating, is that greater than 3, comma, and so now we've got the if or and in here. So is it greater than 3 and is C2 equal to full-time? So we have if or equal or open parentheses, E2 is greater than 3 and C2 is equal to full-time, comma, and then we're going to look at our years of service. So we're going to say B2, and notice that I'm using my mouse to click on these cells that inserts them. I highly recommend that you do that because it eliminates human error. So is it greater than 9? And then we're going to put in a closed parenthesis, a closed parenthesis. We have one more closed parenthesis to go though, but right now we're going to put in a comma, and we're going to say the value, if true, we'll stick with our 2,500, and a comma, and a value if false is going to be 0. Close my parentheses and hit the enter key. So now it looked and it said, okay, this person made one, they have full-time status, but they don't have the years of service, they don't have the job rate ranking. So let me go ahead and let's just fill this down, see if we can find somebody. Okay, we haven't gotten over 9 years of service yet. There we go. There's some folks that are going to get the bonus. So again, that is just if E2, which is the job rating, if that is greater than 3, and they are a full-time employee and have more than 9 years service, they are going to get that $2,500 bonus. All right. So there's our third if statement. We're going to move over to the if not. This one makes it a little bit easier. The status is not an hourly. So if they are anybody that is part-time or full-time, but not hourly, is going to get the bonus. So we're going to say equal if. And then we're going to put in the not. If I can populate that, there it is. Just going to double click on that. So if not, and then we're going to say C2, if C2 is equal to, and we'll put this in quotes, is equal to hourly 3,000, comma 0, close the parentheses. And there we have it. So everybody that is full-time and or part-time is going to get I guess I gave them a $3,000 bonus this time. So there we go. So just the hourly people should not have it. Looks like that one's working well. And that is our if statement. So looking at our if statement, let's go ahead and move over to our next activity, unless there's any questions. Just gonna pause for a second and make sure that you have a chance to take a look at that. The next one that we're going to be using is the count if statement. There we go. Okay, so this is gonna look very similar to the bonus. I just took the bonus out. What we're looking in for this one is we're looking to see how many people have the job rating 1, how many people have a job rating of 2, of 3, of 4, and of 5. Then with our count if, so with count if, you can give it one logical test. With the count ifs, we can give it more than one logical test. So I'm just going to come up and we will start here at the top. Now, I'm going to take a different approach for the count ifs. I'm going to go to insert function, and it's going to populate this particular window. If you're following along at home, what you're going to want to do is type in here and you're going to say count if, and then hit the go button. And then it gives me count if and count ifs. We'll be using count ifs here shortly. So I'm going to go ahead and double click on count if. So it says, and I kind of like this because many times if you forget to put in a comma, which we did in our first activity, it automatically inserts your commas and your parentheses for you. So if you're having issues with typing them manually, this might be something that you want to look at. I go back and forth. I use both of them. It just kind of depends on what I'm doing and quite frankly, what I'm feeling like. So our count if, the first thing it wants to know is, okay, what's our range? Where does Excel need to evaluate? Where's the data? So we're going to start in D2. I'm just going to do a control shift and a down arrow. And it takes me all the way down to D801. So you can see that in my window here that it has D2 colon D801. And then it has all of my rankings. All right. Then it comes over here and it says, okay, what's your criteria? Well, we're on the first one that we're looking for are just the ones. So our criteria is in F7. Now I could have typed in a 1, or I can type in the cell that the 1 is represented in. Either way will work. There's some there's more pros to clicking on the cell and selecting the cell, just to let you know. So when I hit the enter, okay, tells me there's 165 people. Let's just bring this in a little bit. There's 165 people out of the 800 that got a ranking of 1. Okay, so let's do that again. I'm just going to go up and click on my function. I'm going to double click on count if because it's there now, my most recently used. My range is going to be, again, from D2 to D. Oh, wait, I got the wrong one. Let's backspace. Okay, let's go back up. Oops, escape. There we go. Let's go back and try that again. Sorry about that, folks. I just grabbed the wrong data. So equal count if, and we're looking at the job rating. So I'm just going to say control shift in the down arrow. Now I've got the correct data. Takes me to from D2 to D801. And I'm going to come up and I'm going to tell it that I want to look at, come here. Cell F8, hit the enter key, and oh, it wasn't in the right cell. There we go, just drag that down there. No hurt, nothing hurt. So here's my formula. Equal count if, equal count if, D2, look, that's the range that I'm looking at, D2 through D801, And how many twos are there? So it tells us there are 148. Now, if you'd like to, we can just fill this down. We don't need to keep doing this 3 more times. So it tells us that, and let's see, we're going to get an inconsistent. And I'm just going to tell it to ignore this. Ignore. Because there isn't anything wrong. Okay. So here are my employees. I've got, 155, 159, 273, 148, and 165 at the 1 ranking. Now, if I want to make sure that this is accurate, I can just go ahead and put in an auto sum. It should come out to 800 people, and it does. So we know that everything is working well in our count if. All right, so let's come down here to count ifs. So we're looking for in the count ifs is how many people that are full-time got a job rating of a 1. Okay, so let's take a look here and find out. So let's go up and we'll go to the formula bar again. This time we're going to look for count ifs. There it is. I'm just going to hit the enter key and it will populate. So it says, okay, what's your first criteria? And my first criteria we are going to look for is their full-time status. Do they have full-time status? So I'm just going to grab my criteria, my range. So we're going to go to C2 and then all the way down to C801. And our criteria is full-time. Criteria 2, what is my range? Criteria 2 is their range is going to be from, and you could go either way. I went from C2 to C801. This time I'm going to go from D801 to, and I need to back that down 1 because we don't want it to look at D1. We want it to go to D2. So we'll edit that. Whoops, I didn't mean to click on OK. Oh, where are you? Okay, so let's go back, bring this back up. There we are. Okay, so we have our range. Now, what is our criteria? Our criteria is that we're looking for a 1. And again, for criteria 1 and criteria 2, I could have clicked on these 2 cells and inserted the cell. This time I chose to type in full-time and type in the 1. If I had my preference, I would tell you to do it just the opposite way. Because what if you type in full-time wrong? Then you're going to have an issue. So let's change that. So let's just say to look at F17 and to look at G17. All right, I think we are ready. It says, here's the data that is in the column C. Here's what's in F17. It's a full-time. Here is the data for our job ratings. In G17, we have the job rating of 1. So I'm just going to click on OK. And it tells us that there's 91 people. Now watch this. Now I can go in and I can put in a 2. And it tells me that there's 96 people. Oh, escape. I can put in the 3. There's 102 people. I can put in a 4. I can put in 110 people. How many people got a 5? 105 people. So I definitely would advise you to go in and attempt that in that manner, so that you could go in and you can put in the status of 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 and get those results very quickly. Okay, so that is the count ifs. Let's go ahead and move on. The next thing that we are going to look at is something called the X lookup. Now, if you haven't used the X lookup before, are you in for a treat? If you use the V lookup or the H lookup, you will no longer be using those lookups. The X lookup is kind of will takes the place of the other lookup tables, it will also take the place of an index. So if you're using the index, I strongly encourage you to watch this presentation, because it, has lots of great things going on with the X lookup. I'm just gonna go ahead and going to quit out of these. I don't need to save them. We're gonna go into the X lookup template. Now with the X lookup, you can see I've got multiple sheets here. I'm just going to go through these, each one of them. I am giving full credit to Kevin Stratford. He is on YouTube. Now, if you're looking for somebody that has great activities, he has some really great activities. The reason that I like his is because he allows end users like myself and like us to download the file and work along with him. So full credit to him for this activity. I played around with it and I'm tweaking it a little bit, so there might be a few changes, not a whole lot though. But again, full credit goes to Kevin Stratford and his YouTube channel. Okay, so now let's go ahead, and the first one that we're looking at is just a real simple X lookup. So we have our price, we have our cookie type. Over on the left-hand side, we have the fact that we are looking for the chocolate chip cookie and what is the price of the chocolate chip cookie. Now we can very easily go in over there and look and see, well, it's $5. But if you've got, hundreds of thousands of rows of data and you don't want to look that up, then the X lookup is the way to go. Okay. We'll drink a pop and we'll move on. Now, I'm going to come up and I'm just going to go back up to the insert function. We're going to go ahead and type in X lookup. And there it is. And here's the window for it. So when you go into the X lookup, it says, what's your lookup value? What is your lookup array? What is your return array? What if it's not found, and what is the match mode? Now, you'll note that the first three are in boldface and the next two are not. The arguments in boldface are required. The ones that are not in boldface are not required. Although we will talk about match mode here towards the end of our X lookup. Let's go ahead and get started. All right, so I have and you can see that it's building the formula. So I have my X lookup and it says, okay, what is our lookup value? Well, the lookup value is in D2. So we have that D2 and it says chocolate chip cookie. What is our lookup array? Where are we looking for the chocolate chip cookie? We're looking for that in, you can either put column B or you can highlight this data. Either way works just fine. There's advantages to highlighting the entire column. And I'll show you that here in just a little bit. Okay, so we have our lookup array. Now, what is our return array? Our return, so we're saying in this X lookup, the first thing you need to do is look at cell D2. What's in cell D2? Then you're going to go over to column B and you're going to look for chocolate chip. Then what's the return array? The return array is in column A. So as soon as you find chocolate chip in column A or in column B, go over here and tell me what is the price of that particular cookie. It tells me right here that it's a 5, so we know we've got everything right. So I'm just going to go ahead and click on OK. Let me delete that. Then I'm going to go in. I'm going to show you what the advantage is to. I'm going to show you what the advantage is to clicking on column A. All right, so in the lookup value, we've decided that is the chocolate chip cookie in D2. Our lookup array is column B. Our lookup return is in column A. I'm just going to click on OK. The $5 is going to populate, and you don't see anything different. So you're saying, what's the big deal, Julie? Why would we want to do that? Watch this. Because I selected all of column B and all of column A, if I add to column B, if I add, maybe I have a double chocolate. And for the double chocolate, I want $8. Kind of expensive. But if I come over here and do a Control C and paste that in, yeah, look, it picks up on the double chocolate for me automatically. The other thing that I note that people like to do, and this is another reason that you would benefit from selecting the entire column, is they're going to use data validation. Okay, so watch what happens when I use data validation. I talked about data validation in the past, but let's go ahead and just refresh your memory. The data validation is going to allow us to select a list of items, and it will automatically populate that. Just like when you're filling out a form on the internet, and you can click on a down arrow and you're looking for your year of date of birth or something like that. You can go in and find that year. Something very similar. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm just going to delete the double chocolate for a minute. I'm going to move over here to the data ribbon, and on the data ribbon, I'm going to go to data validation. I'm going to tell it that I have a list. And I do have a list. I have a list in column B. Whoops, but I need to click in source first. Then I'm going to click on column B. In column B, you'll note that it automatically applies the absolute reference for me. And when I click on OK, now look what I've got. I've got this little drop down. So it does include cookie type, but that's all right. Well, how much is a snickerdoodle? There's my snickerdoodle. Now, the other benefit to selecting the entire column B, watch this. And maybe this time we want a double chocolate chip. So I'm going to copy this, put this down here, and we'll put in double. And how much is my double? My double is going to be $10. All right, so now when I come up to my data validation, because I selected column B, look what's there, double chocolate. And I don't need to go update, I don't need to update anything. This is just a win-win situation for everybody if you are selecting this data. So my double chocolate is $10. How many of you have gone to get a cookie during this exercise? I'm just kind of curious. Okay, so that is an XLOOKUP in vertical form. We also can create that same formula in horizontal, but we don't need to tell it that we're using an HLOOKUP or a VLOOKUP because the XLOOKUP does everything for us. So we're going to go over to B6, and in B6, you can see that we have all the same information. It's just that's in horizontal in nature. So I'm going to come up and I'm going to go back to my home ribbon, and I'm going to go to my functions, and we want the XLOOKUP again. All right, so value, what are we looking for? Well, this time we're looking for the sugar cookie. Then what is our lookup array? Same process that we did the last time, but this time we're either going to select row 2 or row 1. So our lookup array is going to be row 2 because that's where our cookies are listed. So I'm going to select row 2. It puts a 2:2 in there. I'm going to select my return array, which are the prices. The prices are in row 1, so I'm going to select row 1, and I'm going to click on OK. And it tells me that my sugar cookie is $3. Likewise, if I were to add to this, I could add to this if I were to apply data validation. Same rules apply. It's just that the information is horizontal in nature, not vertical. I prefer mine to be vertical in nature. I just think it's easier to read. But that's up to you. Every individual is a little bit different. We all have different learning styles. So whatever you feel is best for you, that's the way that you should set it up. You know, I started to say something earlier. I'm going to go back. When you're setting up your data, think about the way that you're setting it up. Okay, the way that this is set up, it works perfect for selecting column A and column B rather than from B2 to B9. Okay. If I had like, let me move this. I'm going to give you an example of what not to do. The way that this is set up is the way that your data is set up in a logical manner so that you can use some of these advanced tools in Microsoft Excel. However, this wouldn't be nearly as powerful for me if I'm gonna move this down. Whoops, I didn't want to move it that far. Let's move it back up. There we go. So if I move this over here, then I wouldn't be able to select column B. I wouldn't be able to select column B or column A because I have this in the way. So it needs to be the way that it was before. So think about those things before you get started. The other thing that you want to avoid when you're putting together your spreadsheet is don't leave any blank lines. Inserting pivot tables using the control shift and the down arrow or the up arrow, it would stop at an open line. So make sure that you don't include open lines. If you're working with a spreadsheet and it has open lines, you can delete them. And if you want to know a really quick way, email me and I'll help you out. But other than that, you've got some different options to choose from. But think about that. If you inherited a spreadsheet, sometimes when things are given to you, you're better off not getting them, right? So a lot of times when people show me spreadsheets that have been passed down to them from different employees, it's good to hang on to them, but sometimes you're better off to start your own new so that you can use some of these advanced options in Microsoft Excel. Okay, so that is my lecture on data. Now, you can also go across sheets. So what does that mean? That means that I have, let me bring this out a little bit so it's easier to see. I have my chocolate chip cookie and I have a cell for price, but my data is over here in price table. No worries, we can still use this. As a matter of fact, typically I put my tables on a different worksheet. I just think it's cleaner. That's up to you too. You make up your mind what works for you. So my lookup value is A2. My lookup array is on price table. So I'm going to click on price table. It notices that it's building that into our function. And the lookup array is going to be column B. And then I'm going to click in return array. It does take me back to across sheets. No worries. Just click on price table again. Click on column A. Click on OK. And it's going to tell us that our chocolate chip cookie is $5. So that is across tables. Okay, so that's across sheets. Excuse me, not across tables, across sheets. Let's go over to price to return array. Excuse me. So in return array, let's take a look at what we've got going on here. So in our return array, what we're going to have it do is tell us what the price per cookie and the cost per cookie. Okay, so I'm going to click inside of price. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click on my function. We want the X lookup. My lookup value is the chocolate chip cookie, so I've got that in there. Then I'm going to go ahead and I've got E2. Then I want to go over and click inside of a lookup array. And in the lookup array, we are going to select the cookie type. So the cookie type is in CC. And then my return array is going to be A and B because I want the price and the cost. So I have E2, CC, and AB. Let's click on OK. There it is right there. The chocolate chip cookie, the price is $2. The cost per cookie is, or I'm sorry, $5. The cost for us to make that cookie is $2. So we're making it $3. We're making a $3 profit on each cookie. Need to get that lemonade stand out, but not on a day like today. All right, let's go over to combine functions. To combine functions. So what we're going to do in here is, let me move this over so you can see everything. There we go. We're going to combine the sum function and the X lookup. So I'm going to type in equal sum. Just get an arrow down and find my sum function, hit the tab key. So what we're looking for is equal sum, and then we want to insert the X lookup. So we have equal sum, X lookup. The first thing that we want it to do is to look at E2. So we're going to click on E2, and then I'm going to put in a comma, and we're going to select the cookie type, which is in column C. Then I'm going to put in a comma, and we're going to select the columns A and B. And I'm going to go ahead and I don't feel like I have everything in the type. Oh, I did, okay. I just didn't feel like it was long enough, but let's see what it looks like. So what it did was equal sum, and the reason that we used the sum was because the $2, the 50 cents, the 2.20, the $1.50, the $1.25, and the 2.75 are all formatted to negative numbers. So that's why we use the sum. There's no minus function. So we had to use the sum function and format our numbers to a positive and a negative. Okay, so if I were to come over here and say that my price per cookie is $4, then oops, I need a -4, excuse me, -4, then our profit is $1. If you don't like the way that these are formatted, you've got some other options. I'm going to go over here. I'm going to highlight those. I'm going to go to more number formats. And I'm going to go in and I'm going to switch to currency. And I'm just going to say, here's all my options. So I can have it in red. I can have it in red in parentheses. I kind of like that. Let's go ahead and go with that. Click on OK. And there it is. The negative numbers stand out just a little bit more if you have them in red. Just making sure that there are no questions. So that is the combined functions. We combine the sum and the X lookup. Moving over to multiple lookups. So multiple lookups. In multiple lookups, what we have is we have some new cookies. See, we have a new chocolate chip cookie. So we have our classic chocolate chip cookie, and we have our new chocolate chip cookie. Just waiting to see here if there are any questions. I don't see anything. All right. So now what we need to do, multiple lookups. Multiple lookups. So we're going to start with the equal X lookup. And we're going to tell it that our return array is E2 and then the ampersand and F2. So E2 and F2, comma, what is our lookup array? Our lookup array is going to be column B and column C, comma, and our return array is going to be in column A. So I'm going to close my parentheses. Do they match? They do. And it tells us that the new chocolate chip cookie is $6, which is correct. So that is the, oh, I'm not done. Let's go to the match mode. So that allows you to look at two cells at once. So we did two lookups in the same lookup function simply by using the ampersand, which is the shift and the 7 key on your keyboard if you're at home looking for it. And that allows us to combine, do multiple lookups. Okay, one more X lookup, and that X lookup is going to be looking at what on earth is the match mode. So the match mode is a little bit different than maybe what you're used to. You have 4 different types of match mode. You have 0, which is an exact match, and we're used to that. You have -1, which is an exact match, or if there's not an exact match, it will find the smaller amount. And then you have a 1, which is an exact match as well, but if there's not an exact amount, it's going to find the next higher amount. And the 2 is a wild card match using the star in the question mark, which we'll leave for another day. Okay, so here's the scenario. We have $5.50 and we need to buy a cookie, or we want to buy a cookie. So what is the best cookie that I can get for $5? There is no $5.50. There's no cookie for $5.50. We have a cookie for $5.45, which is the oatmeal raisin. So if I put in the -1 for the match mode, it's going to give me the oatmeal raisin. If I put in the 1 for the exact match, it's going to return the greater, the larger of the 2 items. So I'm going to be able to get a white chocolate macadamia nut cookie. So let's take a look at this. So I'm going to type in equal, and we're just going to do our X lookup. Our lookup value is in cell D2. We're going to do a comma. Our lookup array is column B, comma. Our return value is column A, comma. And then I'm not going to put in if not found, so I'm going to put in another comma. And now it says, okay, which one do you want? Do you want an exact match of the smaller one, or do you want an exact match and the next larger one? Well, I want the white chocolate macadamia nut. I don't want the oatmeal raisin. So I'm going to go with the larger amount or the number 1, hit the enter key. Whoopsie. Oh, that's what I did. Okay, hang on. I see what happened. So comma, that 1 in there. Now close my parenthesis and enter. There we go. Why did it pull the, oh, I did those backwards. What? Did I? Yeah, look at D2. And then, oh, I did that backwards. Sorry about that, folks. So I did that just the opposite of what I needed to. So it's going to be A and then B. Okay, now enter. Oh. Whoops, it didn't take the B. Okay, so lookup array. Is column A, comma, now I think we have it. Where's it pulling the 1 from? Okay, I'm gonna delete this and start over. All right, so let's insert the X lookup. So my lookup value, look, I'm gonna slow down here for a minute. My lookup value is D2. I'm gonna put in a comma. My lookup array. So where are my prices? My prices are in column A. I don't know why that wasn't taking that. And then I'm going to return the cookie. And then I'm going to put in a comma and a comma. And I want that white macadamia nut. Close my parentheses. There we go. Phew. I was almost sweating over that one. Okay. So that is the match mode. All right, so that brings us to the end of Excel. Let's go ahead and take a quick break. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording for just briefly. It is 12:02, so we'll start up again at like 12:07 or something like that. So let me pause the recording and we'll start up again in 5 minutes. All right, well, welcome back, everybody. We're going to switch gears here and we're going to move over to Microsoft PowerPoint. Our last activity is going to be looking at using the transition morph in Microsoft PowerPoint. So if you haven't used this before, it's really cool. It's going to bring your presentations to a new level. All right, so I've just got some information here that we're going to be working with. So I'm going to start with the Kevin Cookie Company logo, and I'm just going to duplicate this slide. So I need a second slide. There's a couple of different ways that you can do that. You can go to the home ribbon and go to slides and tell it to duplicate, or the easier way is just to do a Control D on your keyboard and it will duplicate it. So what I want to do is I want to take the logo for Kevin Cookie Company and I want to make this smaller. So I'm just going to, on my second slide, I don't want to flip it upside down. I'm going to go ahead and make it smaller. I'm going to put it right in the middle of my slide. And then I'm going to select slides 1 and slides 2. I'm going to tell it that I want it to morph. You can see it gives me an example of what's going to happen, but let's go up and go to our slideshow. Here's my slide number 1, and there's my morphing. Makes me look like a genius, doesn't it? All right, let's go down to slide number 3. On slide number 3, I have my chocolate chip cookie. I have my ice cream cookie. I have my chocolate chip cookie, and I have Dunk with Oreos. Now let's pretend like I'm doing a presentation and I want to feature each one of these. So what I'm going to do is right now I'm featuring delicious in every bite. But then when I go to the next slide, I want to focus on maybe the chocolate chip ice cream. Then the next slide, I want to focus on the Dunk with Oreo. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate this slide twice. And we're just going to come down to slide number 4. I'm on slide number 4. So what I want to do is I am going to I'm going to select the chocolate chip ice cream cookie. I'm going to right click. I'm going to bring this to the front and I'm just going to make it the size of the one that's in the middle now. Come here. Approximately. And then I am going to go ahead and get my Dunk with Oreos and I'm going to right click. I'm going to send this one to the back and I'm going to bring this over here. And then I'm going to select my chocolate chips and I'm going to bring it over to the other side. And I am going to reduce the size of it. Here. Make this one a little bit bigger. There we go. Okay, so on slide number 1, I'm featuring my chocolate chip cookies. On slide number 2, I'm featuring my ice cream sandwich cookie. And on slide number 5, I'm going to feature my Dunk with Oreos. So I'm going to select the Dunk with Oreos. I'm going to right click. I'm going to tell it to bring that to the front. We're just going to bring this up here. Enhance the size of it. Send the chocolate chip ice cream to the back. You have it travel over here. Grab my chocolate chips. Bring them over to the side. Reduce the size. All right, so now let's select slides 3, 4, and 5. I'm going to tell it that I want the transition morph. Let's go up from the beginning and see what we've got. So here's our logo. We're reducing the size of our logo. Now we're talking about the chocolate chip cookie. And then we're going to talk about the chocolate chip ice cream cookie. And then we're going to talk about the Dunk with Oreos. Isn't that cool? That is so awesome. Okay. So the next one, this looks kind of similar to our first one, but it's not. What we need to do is to get into the name of this. So you need to make sure that the names of these are the same. I'm trying to think of where you changed the name. It's not here, is it? Picture correct. No, I'm in the same place. Okay, so let's go up to search. Name a picture. Format a picture, picture styles. It's not the alt text, is it? Generate text for me. Oh, and maybe it's captions and subtitles. Well, just a second. I'm gonna Google it real quick. How do I change the name of a picture in PowerPoint?
I chose Wix for my business because of its massive scope for functionality and freedom of creation. Hi there.
This tutorial is for anybody who uses PowerPoint who knows how frustrating it can be.
We watch a 4-minute video. From the home tab, click on, that's where I was though. Click on arrange and select champagne. There we go, yay! Okay, so this is called big logo. In order for this to happen, for this to work, you do need to put 2 exclamation points in front of it. Let's just come down and see, make sure that the next logo is the same. Yep, little logo and big logo. So let's change this name to big logo. All right. So that's what you need to do, and I'm just gonna hold down the shift key. I'm going to go to transitions, and I'm going to click on morph. And let's see what we've got. There we go. It morphs it into not only a smaller logo, but a different looking logo. All right, so now I'm going to come down to my my last slide. I'm going to go ahead and click on that. We will duplicate this one time. And what we're going to have is we're going to be having to do, we're going to have some motion. So I'm going to move the yellow car, driving right along. And then I'm going to move the red car. I'm going to move my clouds around. Then I'm gonna click on just the background, so it's selected just that background. I'm gonna go ahead and I am going to go to my shape format. In the shape format, I want to change this background shading. So I'm going to come over here to the fill. And I'm just going to see how that's changing that. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add another one in. What I want to do is I want it to the sun to be coming up. So I'm just going to go ahead and click on the paint can. It'll populate the color palette. Let's change that to a nice yellow. Oopsie, what happened to it? Come back. I must have deleted it. I didn't mean to do that. Okay, well, that looks good right there. All right, so let's go ahead and select the first one and the second one. And go to transitions, click on morph. Let's see what we've got. Ooh, fingers crossed, here we go. That's kind of fast. We need to slow that down. So let's transitions. Let's change the duration. Let's change this to 20. Right, it was on 2, so I'm going to change the duration to 20. Now, let's go ahead and look at that again. Now we can even slow it down more. So I can come up here and change my 20 to a 40. And let's see what we've got. And you could add more to this. You could add people walking down the street if you wanted to. That would be kind of fun. Let's see what we can do there. So let me go ahead and hit escape. And I'm gonna go to insert, and on the insert ribbon, I'm gonna go to this device, and let's go to stock images and see what we can find in there. So I want maybe a cartoon person. Let's see. Oh, there's somebody on a scooter. Let's put the person on the scooter in. Make this a little bit smaller. It's all over the place, man. Okay, let's click on morph again, see what happens. That was kind of fun. Let's make this duration a little bit slower. I think he was speeding. So look out. Oh, went right between them. All right, well, pretty cool, folks. If you haven't used the morph, get in there and use the morph. It is a lot of fun. Hey, thank you for joining me today. That concludes our Tech in the Workplace series. We will be offering it again. It will more than likely be on during the week. So let's hope that you can join me for Tech in the Workplace. If you have any questions, feel free to email me at jdospace@gmail.com. As always, big shout out to the DoSpace for everything that they do for the greater Omaha area. And that will conclude our session for today. Thank you.